sun rays, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Hi guys, so my name is Rachel. I'm one of the interns with CEF, and just to kind of reiterate, these are all students from the United States. We're all really excited to be here, and I'm going to let them take over now.
My name is Julia.
I'm Skylar.
My name is Selena.
Caitlin.
Josiah. Brendan.
Alan.
All right. So we're all from Virginia, except for Alan. He's from Pennsylvania in America. And we're just here to give you a little bit of an overview of American life and culture. This isn't the view of everyone's life in America. It's just a general population overview. So this is our principle of freedom. It's the First Amendment in our Constitution. You guys can read what's up on the screen, but English is my first language. I speak it fluently, and I still don't understand what this slide is trying to say. So I'm going to tell it to you the way I learned it. We call it our RAPS freedoms. That's R-A-P-P-S. And that is the freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of press, freedom of petition, and freedom of speech. And those are freedoms that nobody can take away from us, not even the government. And this is our flag. The 50 stars represent our 50 states, and the 13 stripes represent our 13 original colonies.
Okay, we will now sing for you our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So you guys will notice there's a couple of ways we stood during that. Some of us had our hands behind our backs, and some of us had our hands over our hearts. And most people will do that in America while the national anthem is being sung, just to show respect towards our country.
So, the American dream. The American dream is that dream of a land in which life should be better and richer and fuller for every man, with opportunity for each according to ability or achievement. It is not a dream of motor cars and high wages merely, but a dream of social order in which each man and each woman shall be able to attain to the fullest stature of which they are innately capable, and be recognized by others for what they are, regardless of fortuitous circumstances of birth or position. So this is a quote by James Adams from 1931. So essentially, like, what this means in simpler terms is that the American dream is this idea that it doesn't matter where you came from in the world or what family you were born into as far as social status or maybe financial status. Through hard work, you can achieve your goals, and go places. So America began as a country where people fled from abuse of power to live free lives and continue to grow in diversity as immigrants came by the thousands through Ellis Island to pursue the American dream. In 2016, over 750,000 people became U.S. citizens. So America is really a very diverse people. They call it the melting pot for a reason, and that's just because a lot of people from different cultures come together, and it creates this unique blend of all different cultures. Many Americans call themselves Christian, but America in and of itself is a secular country, which means that there is not a mandated religion by the government. So the U.S. government is broken down into 3 separate branches. So we have the legislative, the executive, and the judicial. The purpose of having 3 different branches is to create this balance of power so that one single person or one single group of people can't gain all of the power, and it's divided amongst all of them. The executive branch, as you can see, houses our president, and our current president is Donald Trump.
So politics. Right now in America, there's a big push to get our younger citizens involved in voting. And so as you can see, in the last presidential election, we have 60% of our youngest voters participating in the election. And as we continue, we will try to improve our participation rate in our young citizens to get them involved in politics. So our economy is founded upon capitalism, and this is the idea that privately owned land and capital will be more productive and better for society than if that land and capital was owned by the government. And the idea behind this is known as the tragedy of the commons. And this is that if the land is publicly owned, it will be depleted too quickly. And so in order to counteract that, land is owned privately so that citizens will have incentive to take care of their land, to cultivate it, and to provide the most welfare for society as a whole through that. So another huge part of our economy is what we call entrepreneurship, and this is the mentality and risk-taking spirit of many Americans. If they have an idea or a dream to run their own business, it's as easy as simply starting it and going. And so many Americans take this risk, and by doing this, we not only conduct business in our country, but we give back to society in a positive way by increasing our standard of living. So we have many beautiful national parks throughout the United States. We have a variety of geography as well as the different climate all the way across the United States. As you can see, we have the Grand Canyon, we have Yellowstone, we have the Everglades, and we even have the Denali National Park in Alaska. And so there's increasing variation in our national parks, and they are available to our public at a reasonable rate.
So we like to use monuments to remember significant times, people, and events, and so here are just a few of them. So we have Mount Rushmore, which is in North Dakota, Pearl Harbor, which is in Hawaii, the Liberty Bell, which is in Philadelphia, and then the Washington Monument, which is in our nation's capital. Sorry. And then so with the everyday life of an American, we really value work and independence. So a lot of people work 40 to 50 hours a week and really like to get involved in the community, whether that be through rec sports or just really any other activities. And we really like to go to coffee shops. I know I find myself in a coffee shop at least 3 to 4 times a week. And then we like independence and being able to drive our own cars. And so the family life in America, what's really unique is that a lot of the times the mother and the father will work, and on average it's 1 to 2 children per family. And then most of the time when kids get 18 years old, they like to move out and either go to university or get a full-time job. And there's a really high divorce rate, so 50% of marriages end in divorce. And I know over the past week we've kind of learned a little bit about Moroccan weddings, but American weddings are a little bit different. They only last for 1 day, and they really just signify companionship, commitment, and the average cost is about $35,000, which is a good amount of money. And most of the time people like to get a job, get established, and then they get married, and then most of the time couples go on honeymoons afterwards.
So pets are another really big part of American life. Many Americans will treat their pets as family. You hear of a lot of couples who are married and don't have kids that will even treat their pets like their own children. Gyms and health are also really popular in America. So in 2016, there were estimated 36,540 fitness clubs in the U.S. In 2015, there were approximately 55 million people who had memberships to gyms, and many restaurants will advertise low-fat and other nutrition facts along with their menu. Education is also really important in America. The U.S. has a 99% literacy rate for people over the age of 15. 88% of Americans have received a high school diploma, and 32% of Americans have received a bachelor's degree or higher. This kind of shows a parallel with what Moroccan school systems are like and what American school systems are like. So elementary school is usually first grade through fifth grade, and then middle school's sixth grade through eighth grade, and then high school is 9th through 12th, and then we usually go to college or university.
So next we have entertainment. So entertainment's 2014, the average American watched between 150 and 210 hours of TV each month. That's several days worth of TV. And then in 2016, the average American spent $2,482 US on entertainment, and that includes gaming systems and FIFA and Netflix and every other thing and movies. And so we have sports. You know what that is? American football, most popular. So American football, baseball, basketball, and you know it? You can tell me? All right. Thanks a lot. So American football, most of you probably already know. Does anybody know how many teams there are? Does anybody know how many teams there are? I didn't know. I didn't look at it. So yeah, 32. Whoops. The NFL, the National Football League, is made up of 32 teams, and that's our largest sport that brings in millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. And so soccer has a small foothold, or football, but American football is the biggest one. All right, and the best two teams play in the Super Bowl, and that's our very last game, and they win. The one team gets the cup. So. All right, and other American sports, you saw the picture that was up there, that was baseball, and then the one that was down there was basketball, and then hockey. So hockey is kind of popular. It's more popular in the north where it's cold. You think New York or Maine or Michigan, countries that are close to Canada. And so we share that with our Canadian neighbors. We have basketball, which is really popular around the world too. It's popular in China. It's popular in parts of Europe. And then we have baseball, which is called the American pastime, or the all-American sport. And so they have a series of games that finish out their season. So we have the World Series in baseball, and then we also have in basketball the playoffs. We also have March Madness, if anybody knows what that is. And then ice hockey competes for the Stanley Cup.
All right. In America, we have a lot of holidays, and they're segmented between seasons. Some of the holidays we'll be talking about are depicted in this presentation. We'll be going over Easter, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. One important holiday during the spring and the summertime is Easter. It's typically a time when people actually go to church and celebrate it, typically with Easter egg hunts and more like a family to get together at times. Another really important holiday for Americans is the 4th of July. This is when we come together, grab a barbecue, come together, and just make some really good food with our neighbors and friends. Two important other holidays, or three, is in the fall and the winter. In the fall, we have something called Thanksgiving. This is when we celebrate with a turkey, as you saw in the previous slide. And there's stuff like mashed potatoes, green beans, and gravy, yes. Pumpkin pie, he's right, and apple pie. Just another time to come together and enjoy a meal. An interesting one is Halloween. This is when children can get dressed up in costumes and knock on people's doors and get candy, yes. And another popular version of this is in college, when people also dress up in costumes and do the same. And another important holiday is Christmas. It's just a similar time when people actually go to church. And just as you can see in the presentation, there's also a Christmas tree that people dress up with ornaments, and typically there are presents below. We hope you were enriched by this presentation, that you learned a little bit about American culture, and I do want to stress that this is just a general overview and does not describe all Americans. Thank you.
And lastly, we don't have the slide up, but so Castel Fun, we are a art and culture program. So we do culture exchange groups, and we also put on different events for you all. So we have craft classes, movie nights, storytelling events. So if you're interested in any of our events that we put on, feel free to come talk to myself or one of the other interns, or ask them and they'll point you to who can give you more information on that. Yes.